up.
Just wait for some people to show up.
Want to invite people?
Sure.
Who?
I don't know.
There's Anthony, Jahari, Sandy, Emily, Taji, Carl, Tyler, Ben, Meg. 2 people watching.
Oh, hi, 2 people. Who's watching?
Heather and Anthony Mitchell.
Oh, my boy.
They can't see you on this side. Why are you looking? It's 4 people watching. You gonna get started?
Okay, let's get started. Okay. Hi, everybody. Steven here, and I'm here this year to show you all how to finally make some Alfredo sauce. I know you've seen over the years my posts talking about my disdain for jar Alfredo sauce, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make at the house, and you're going to never go back to do this, to the jars after you see this. So what I'm going to show you today is just a very, very basic Alfredo sauce. You can add different cheeses, you can add different things in there. Sometimes I like to add spinach and tomato into mine, but this is just a good little base to get you started, all right? So all I got, we got some garlic right here. I'm gonna smash in just a second. Some garlic, a little bit of butter, some oil. I'm using grapeseed oil, which is a really great oil if you're trying to kind of switch up the game on your oil game. This one's actually a blend with olive oil as well. But I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Some heavy cream. We are doing 2 quarts, but if you want to do more, that's perfectly fine. Just a little base to show you what we got going on. Like I said, some Parmesan cheese, a little bit of dry white wine. So I got this wine. Friendly lady at the Piggly Wiggly told me about this wine right here because you want wine that's really fruity, really crisp. You don't want anything that's sweet. So if you have like a Riesling or a Moscato, you wouldn't want to use that in this case. Maybe this is like a nice Pinot Grigio right here. Just really great wine for that. That or a Sauvignon Blanc if you got that too.
Somebody said, is there any alternatives to heavy cream? It tear their stomach up.
You could do instead. Well, you're still want to do is still gonna be like a dairy-based sauce. So one thing you can do instead of heavy cream, you can create what we call a bechamel. So taking a bechamel, essentially, it's like if we make a roux. So if you take a roux in a nice pot, so that's just taking some butter, equal amounts of fat, which could be butter, oil, whatever kind of fat, plus the equal amounts of flour. You put that in your pot and give that a nice stir, just like if you were making gumbo or something. Give that a nice stir until it get nice, light and brown and toasty and whatnot. From there, you can add in some milk, and that way you're still going to get a nice thickened sauce without using heavy cream. But I'm the same way. I have to take lactase when I eat Alfredo. And some salt and pepper right here. Oh yeah, if y'all have questions, like please ask questions. Laura's on the other side, so she can answer questions as well, or ask questions, I guess. So what I have here is a shallot. All right, so what exactly is a shallot? A shallot belongs in the onion family. So think about kind of like a little bit of a white onion with a little bit of a red onion with a dash of garlic inside of it, all right? Kind of give you a really harsh flavor, but it goes great when you cook it, all right? If you don't have shallots at the house, like myself, I usually don't keep shallots in the house. If you just have like a red onion, it works perfectly fine as well. All right. That's everything, so let's get started. So first off, I'm just gonna take my garlic right here. I'm just gonna do a nice few little smashes on the garlic. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's perfectly okay. You can use the garlic that comes in the jar. Just make sure you just drain all that water off of it. Just like that. Nice. So also notice when I do like the smashing garlic thing, my blade's away from me because this blade is very, very sharp. You never want to have the blade towards you at any point whatsoever. That's extremely dangerous, and we do not want that. I'm just taking my garlic, seeing some nice little slices on it. Just kind of running your knife through it. Beautiful, just like that. When I go to scoop things up with my knife as well, I want to be sure to use the back of my knife, because if I use the front part of my knife where the blade is at, that's a good way to mess up the blade of your knife. Okay. Take my shallot. So shallots and onions, you cut them very similar. So that's the stem piece right there, and that's the root part right there. You don't ever want to cut off that root piece. Cut that root piece off, that's when your onion or shallot start to fall apart and becomes extremely hard to cut. So instead, we're gonna start at the stem piece right there. Just take that right on off. I'm gonna take my shallot and go right down the center, and notice how I'm cutting it. I'm taking my hand and I'm kind of doing like a claw motion on top of it. Usually you'll see chefs, they'll cut like this. They'll cut with their fingers tucked away like so, and their knife right there on the middle blade. So that way you can cut and like look up at the same time, but kind of still have control of it. If I were to do that with my shallot's a little bit round, it's a little fussy, so I can't really get a good grab on it. So instead, I'm gonna hold on to it like this, line up my cut, move my hand, and go straight down like so, okay? Now, from here, just simply take off that paper right there.
Stop being nosy.
Oh.
People are watching.
Hi, people. Like, I teach classes all the time, but y'all are a little different. Nice, beautiful shallot. You just want all that paper to come round off. You can't really do anything with this paper for real. I worked for a chef that we used the paper to kind of like color the stock, but besides that, like, you don't really need to do anything like that. All right, now here's where it gets a little complicated. Not that complicated, but just a little tiny bit complicated. So I'm gonna take my knife and I'm just gonna do a really simple dice, all right? Taking my knife, and for the sake of this, I'm gonna have it go about halfway up from my shallot. Same idea with the onion, just halfway up. I'm gonna place the palm of my hand that's right here, place it right here on my shallot like so. So that way I can press down and make sure my shallot doesn't move around too much, all right? Taking my knife, and I'm gonna use the middle part of my knife. You usually use the top of your knife if you want to do a very accurate cut. You use the bottom part of your knife if you want to do a really powerful, heavy cut. So this is if I want to do like a very small, fine cut, like on a cut like so. Use this part of your knife if you want to cut through something like celery or very heavy things like that, all right? I want the middle part because I want a combination of the two. I'm just going to take that and just slide my knife right on through, being very careful. And I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way through, all right? Now I'm going to take this, rotate, the root is facing up to the front. I'm going to take my knife, and we're going to use the tip of the knife to do those very accurate cuts. And I'm going to go straight down to the board like so. Beautiful. Now I'm going to rotate it, so now the root is now facing my non-dominant hand, or over here to the left. I'm going to take my knife and just finish up my cut. Nice, beautiful shallots, all right? You can cut this little piece down if you want, but sometimes it's a little too much, so it's okay. We'll just get rid of that. Same thing for the other side. And just to show you just the kind of differences, I'm going to start this cut a little bit up here. I'm going to do 2 cuts on this one. Kind of like so. I'm going to do these cuts up here a little bit bigger. Now, I don't suggest doing this at the house, so you kind of want your cuts to be a little bit more uniform. Shallot's getting you?
Yeah, the onions got my eyes watering. Shallots.
Yes. Don't worry, they get my eyes too, but I'm trying to push through it. It's okay. All right, beautiful. All right, so take this. Beautiful shallots, beautiful garlic, just like so, all right? It don't have to be perfect. It's okay if it's not perfect. It's perfectly okay, I promise you, all right? Wash off my hands real quick. Okay. I'm gonna move over here.
Go
All right. So over here, I've had my pan getting nice and hot already, all right? So we're just on about medium, low, medium heat, nothing too fancy. And see, I got a little water specks on my hand, so I can just hit it like that. And I hear it hissing like that, that note lets me know my pan is ready to go. Let me cut a little bit of this butter off real quick. So, why am I using oil and butter? So, let's talk about this for a second. Butter, if I were to put just straight up butter in here right now, it would hit, so it would start to burn. Because butter has what we call a really low smoke point, all right? That's the point where the fats inside of your fat starts to break down. If anybody's ever worked at a restaurant, you kind of see like a fryer and there's kind of steam and smoke coming off of that lets you know that your fat's starting to break down. That's a fun thing at the house as well. If you do a lot of frying with some oil, if you see steam and smoke coming off of it, that means it's starting to break down.
Someone said, what kind of pot is that?
This is a Dutch oven.
How many quarts? It's 3.
This is, I think 3 quarts, yeah.
3 quart.
3 quart Dutch oven. I like my Dutch oven for a whole lot of uses. This one is actually cast iron. So the outside is cast iron, but the inside is enameled. So that way I can do things like this. If I had like a regular Dutch oven pot, I wouldn't really be able to do sauces like that. If you don't have one of these, you can just use a regular sauce pot at the house. This is just the one I grabbed because it looks cool. So, all right. So, if I had just butter in here, like I said, it will start to burn. So instead, because I want the butter taste, but I don't want the butter burn, I'm gonna add in my oil first, like so. In goes my butter. Now, here's one of those key moments right here. I'm gonna let this stir up for just a second. Get that butter nice and melted. What I personally like to do with my Alfredo, I like to add a little bit of heat to it. So I like to add some crushed red pepper flakes right on in. I like to add it in at this state right here, so that way it can infuse into the oil and season everything as well. Just a little bit. If you want to add more, you can perfectly add more. Perfectly fine, right? Beautiful. In goes my garlic and my shallots. And notice I'm not on too high of heat. If I was on a higher heat, my garlic would burn a lot faster than what I wanted to do. Just kind of wanted to cook up. And already it smells good. It smells good, don't it, Laura?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that smells so good. I'm gonna add some salt and pepper. And because this is a cream-based sauce, you're going to want to add some salt and pepper. You're going to need that seasoning in there. Cream-based sauces absorb salt.
Someone said, do you use nutmeg in your Alfredo?
Some people do. I personally don't because I just usually don't grab it, but it's perfectly fine. Once we're all nice,
And that smell of garlic.
yeah, now you smell it.
Yeah.
Once you become nice and fragrant, in goes my heavy cream. And turn my heat up just a little bit.
Do you use white pepper?
Some people are obsessed with white pepper. I don't really care that much. So no, I don't. I don't really have that many uses for white pepper. Right? while that's going on also, add a little splash of my white wine.
Is that a splash?
Just like that, what that lady said, here's a splash of vodka. And then oh, man, look at that already. I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to add 2 splashes of wine to mine. There you go. And you already see it's starting to get that nice thickness that's coming to that Alfredo sauce. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to crank up my heat on here. It's going to come together real quick and easy. That's going on. I'm going to add in one of my favorite ingredients, something that a lot of people don't actually understand. Lemon. So lemon is actually one of those ingredients that you always need to keep in your fridge, right? Always keep it. There are so many uses for it. Say you want to add salt to something without actually adding salt. Lemon will do that. And citrus really. This lemon goes really good in this situation. Now, what I have right here is a microplane or a grater, something like that, because I want to get that lemon zest off of there as well, all right? Now, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, you can do this perfectly fine on a cutting board, but I'm just going to go straight into the pan like so. And you see how I just ripped off that yellow part right there? You don't want to get that part right in there. You don't want to get this part right here. That's extremely bitter. It's called the pith. It's extremely bitter. It will mess up your dish every single time. I was actually in culinary school, and I made lemon drop crepes. Crepes are very hard to make, and I did very good with everything except for the fact that I got pith in part of my garnish, and it just threw off the entire dish, and I was very upset because I worked very hard on those crepes. So notice what I'm doing also. I'm taking my lemon, and I'm going to go in slow motion for you. I'm going back and forth like so, but while that's going on, every few turns, every few clicks, I'm turning my hand, I'm rotating my hand, so more of that zest could get exposed out, all right? If you're at the house and you feel a little worried about it, perfectly fine. Here's an alternative for you. So you take the lemon in your non-dominant hand, all right? And you just take your zester and just scrape across the top like so, all right? So that way you can see where that lemon zest is, all right? Real simple, real easy. Other lemon just like so. It smells really good right now too, by the way, also. Definitely do this. Beautiful. Now, somebody said, do I add nutmeg to this? I think instead of the nutmeg, I just like to do those crushed red peppers, but that nutmeg is really a great touch. All right, now, zest is all done. I can get a little bit more zest, actually. Now, I'm gonna get some fresh lemon juice going.
Someone said, is the lemon taste powerful?
You say what?
I said, is the lemon taste powerful?
It's not powerful, it's an accompaniment. So the thing about this is, you know, you got this heavy cream going on. Heavy cream is a very heavy taste, right? You want something in there to kind of cut through that heaviness that goes in there. So instead of like adding a whole bunch of salt, I add this lemon in here that's just going to brighten it up a little bit as well. So once you got that lemon zest in there, definitely use like lemon zest at the house too, guys. Like lemon zest, lime zest, citrus zest, whatever kind of zest you have. Only zest that doesn't really work that well is grapefruit zest. It's a little too bitter, but anyway, it's all good. Notice what I'm doing right here. I'm getting some freshly squeezed lemon juice. All I'm doing with this, I took my zested lemon, because it's a lot easier to zest a lemon before you juice it. Just taking my hand like so. My hands are clean, by the way. Cupping them up a little bit and just giving it a nice squeeze so you catch those seeds right on in there. All right. Just like this. For those of y'all that went to the brunch, if you're wondering how the sauce was made, this is very similar to how the sauce was made.
Which sauce?
For the shrimp and grits. If you didn't go to the brunch, you should have been at the brunch. Everybody loved shrimp and grits. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So the thing about Alfredo, it does take a little bit of time to make. I know that jar is very convenient, but you take these few little steps, it's going to make a huge difference for you guys.
So what are you waiting for now?
So I'm waiting for it right now to just kind of come up to a simmer and start to get some good heat on it. Once it starts to simmer, it's going to start to reduce down as well. So a good way to tell when your Alfredo sauce is done, you kind of see, look right now, it's getting all that nice soupiness, that nice gloopiness right there. Oh, that's gorgeous. Look at that. We're getting there. Now, another good tell is if I take my spoon out right here, right? Drag my finger across. You see how it's kind of divided like that? That's letting me know that my sauce is getting thickened. Now, here's a cool thing. So far, this recipe, gluten-free. Usually some people do roux, and you have your flour in there. I just do straight up heavy cream. Once you let that heavy cream cook up, it's going to come together.
Someone said, have you ever enhanced the jar of Alfredo sauce?
I did by putting it in the garbage. No, I haven't. I personally haven't, no. Just because, not just because I don't like the jar of Alfredo sauce. Simply because by the time I learned how to actually make Alfredo sauce, I didn't really fool with the jar anymore, so. I kind of did that at a younger age too, so.
The jar.
Yeah. My mom makes it out of the jar, and it's perfectly fine. I'm still going to eat it. I don't like turn up my nose when people make it out of the jar, but I just know how easy it is to make outside the jar, so I just do that. Oh man, look at that smell.
It smells like lemon.
It smells like lemon, yeah. But it smells a little bit more like lemon. It smells like lemon. It smells like that heavy cream. You're getting that garlic. You're getting those shallots in there together. It smells good. Get a little spoon real quick. Just give it a quick little taste.
Jason said, is it true that Alfredo sauce was invented by Fredo from the Godfather trilogy?
I think so. It wasn't in my culinary books, but he might have been.
So you just waiting for it to simmer up?
Yes, just waiting for it to simmer.
And then what?
We're going to do the last step.
How long?
It just kind of depends. On high heat, we're maybe looking at about 10, 15 minutes.
Why use lemon zest and lemon juice?
More lemon flavor, more lemon taste. That zest is just like free flavor. So the zest also offers a different brightness than the juice does. So the juice offers a brightness. This is heavy on it. That zest will add a much more complex brightness to it, and just make an overall better dish instead. And also, I mean, if I need the juice, I might as well grab the zest. There's very few occasions where I use the juice, but not the zest. And see right now it's starting to bubble up, starting to foam up together, starting to come together real nice. Get that taste.
Jason has another question.
What else is Jason's question?
Jason wants to know, have you ever thought about using corn chips instead of pasta and calling it Alfredo sauce?
Jason, we're gonna have to open up a restaurant because you just have given me all the ideas. So, Laura, what you think? You think we need to add some salt, pepper?
It needs salt.
We need some salt. Now, I tasted it too, and I also think it needs some salt. But one thing we gotta remember, we're gonna add Parmesan cheese to this too. Parmesan cheese is actually a pretty salty cheese, so I'm going to readjust my seasoning just a little bit once that Parmesan cheese is added in there. Remember, we add that lemon in there too, so that's providing a nice amount of salt. And that's what we want to do right now. When it starts bubbling like that, that's the water molecules coming out of the sauce, and that's going to end up making a much thicker sauce. So that's perfectly okay. I'm going to step away for just a second.
Looking for. Oh.
Stir some of those bubbles out. You also want to use a big enough pot. If your pot starts to boil over, you just move it up to heat real quick. But if not, it's okay. Beautiful. Now I like to add pepper to mine. So I'm gonna add a little more pepper. If y'all like these, by the way, y'all can hit me up. I sell these at my job, and I can sell y'all my cousins or something. Beautiful.
So when do you know to add the cheese?
Once these bubbles kind of subside a little bit, we're just gonna keep on bubbling for a little bit. You see already it's starting to go down some. Alfredo is really one of those kind of, well, I've done it so many times, it's really more like a watching game versus a time game. And that's like the cool thing about cooking. Once you kind of like learn a few of the basics, I kind of talked about this with somebody, and a lot of my friends are music people, so I can explain it like this. Cooking is kind of like, cooking is kind of like in theory, all right? So you have theory 1, theory 2, theory 3, theory 4. First one, you learn the rules. Second one, you learn how to bend the rules. Third one, you can learn how to break the rules. And the last one, there are no rules. That's kind of the thing with cooking. You gotta learn the basics, you gotta learn a few cuts, you gotta learn a few techniques, and then once you're there, you kind of develop that on top of each other. So like I said, with this type of Alfredo, some people do a bechamel. I just found using heavy cream is another little shortcut. Some people add nutmeg. I just add the crushed red peppers. Some people don't do lemon. I like lemon in mine.
So what are some other things you could season their Alfredo sauce with?
Very good question. So if you want to do like a Creole Cajun sauce, definitely any Creole seasoning you have around the house. If you want to do, people from Mobile, we put Old Bay and everything, so you can put Old Bay in here if you want. Like one of my favorite kind of seasonings, add-ons in here is if I wanted to do like some shrimp and not shrimp, some spinach and like some cherry tomatoes. Those go great here. Tomatoes go really great in here because you put those tomatoes in and kind of like the last little step, let them cook up and they'll burst and they'll add so much flavor to your sauce. But speaking of like proteins and stuff, what you don't want to do, and I see a lot of people make this mistake, you don't want to just add raw proteins in here. So by proteins, I'm talking about your chicken or your shrimp. You want to at least cook them off halfway on another stove, another eye. Cook it about halfway, get some nice beautiful marks on it, and then you can add it in here. If you were to just add them in here, chicken wouldn't really be that much of a factor. You'll just kind of get like a raw chickeny taste in here, but it'll still be cooked, but you'll get that really raw, weird taste in there. Same with shrimp. Shrimp is really bad if you just put straight up shrimp in there. It'll just taste like a shrimp boil versus Alfredo, which you don't want.
So what about pasta?
Pasta, you would traditionally use a fettuccine pasta with this. Just let that boil up. You can make it fresh. You can make it dried. I'm gonna come up here one day and show you how to do some fresh pasta. That's a lot of fun. Once you kind of learn how to make fresh pasta, you kind of all pasta is essentially the same recipe. The name comes from the different cuts. So once you kind of learn that, you're good to go. see we're getting thicker and thicker and thicker. I dip my hand back, my spoon in there again, and you see we're getting nice and thick on there. Tastes good. Remember, guys, this right now this sauce still needs some more salt. So don't go just based off this. You want to add more salt, but you're definitely going to need it after that Parmesan's added in there. Your patience will pay off. But it's starting to get that consistency. Would you say it's starting to get that consistency of Alfredo? Mm-hmm. By the way, since we're here, if you guys have any other random food questions, you can ask those real quick. We're just kind of waiting on this. This is, as I tell my classes, this is the part they don't really show on Food Network, just waiting. So. Ooh, All right. Once we get here.
Is this something that you constantly have to stir?
No, it's not.
You just keep stirring it?
Yeah, I just keep stirring it. I like the way it smells. It just hit my face. It's pretty cool.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Favorite thing to cook would definitely be, I actually made it today. Actually, two things I like to cook. Oxtails, which I made today, and red beans and rice. Two really big staples of where I'm from. This is a lot of fun. It kind of brings me back to my roots because, you know, I've traveled all over the place. I've cooked all over the place. I've cooked different cuisines. But it's just something about making something that's my cuisine, you know, back home for me that I love about it. And I mean, it's one of those things that's like super, super simple, but you get really great results out of it. So. Mm-hmm. You see the bubbles are getting smaller and smaller. That's letting me know more and more water is coming out. So of course this Valentine's Day, y'all can make this up with some nice spinach, some nice tomato. If you like, cook off some like asparagus, cook off some broccoli in there. What else would you like to put in there? There's a lot of stuff you can put in here, really.
So, will the people be getting a red beans and rice or an oxtail video?
I mean, y'all let me know. You know, this is like a very kind of like spur of the moment kind of thing I did. But I will say, I don't mind doing it. I will say, I kind of cheat. If you ask some purists, I kind of cheat. I do those two things because I make them in an Instant Pot. But I can make them out of an Instant Pot too. But if y'all want that, definitely.
What's some other sauces you can make homemade? What about like spaghetti sauce?
Oh, most definitely. Spaghetti sauce is super easy. You know, actually, if we take a step back, in the food world, we have what we call mother sauces, all right? One of them being a bechamel, all right? Bechamel is actually how I learned to make mac and cheese, believe it or not. I did not learn how to make oven mac and cheese. I learned how to make stovetop mac and cheese in a restaurant. So that's how I learned mac and cheese. And with that, like I said before, we make our roux. Just like if we didn't use heavy cream, if we wanted to make our Alfredo sauce with the flour and the butter and the milk instead, that's a bechamel. You take that, add some cheese into it, add your macaroni noodles in there, and you'll get some really good stovetop macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese you kind of see in your higher end restaurants, really quick, really easy, and that kind of stuff will set for a while. Spaghetti sauce is super simple as well. Spaghetti sauce, you just take, I made one recently where we actually caramelized some onions and some sausage, let that sausage fat render off in there so the onions caramelize in the sausage fat. We took that, added some tomatoes, added some red wine, added some garlic, a little crushed red pepper flakes, and let that cook up. I mean, it's easy, y'all. It's real easy. And like the key thing I tell people is like when they're trying to learn how to cook, it's like taste your food. When I teach my classes, I ask my classes to taste their food, and they say they don't know if it tastes good. Well, they don't know if it's seasoned enough. I say, well, taste it. If it tastes good to you, then it tastes good. If you don't know if it tastes good, then it probably don't taste good. Add a few more things in there so it tastes really good. All right. Keep them coming, guys, because I like talking about food. So I turned down my heat a little bit, and you can see already how thick and beautiful that's gotten. Imagine you just take some pasta and put that right on in there and just let it all soak up into that liquid. That's going to be great. All right. Now from here, very important step. We're going to add in our cheese, right? So I just got, some cheese y'all can get at the house, some nice little Parmesan right here. If you want, you can go to the deli. Actually, I would suggest going to the deli, getting some nice Parmesan cheese and grating that, putting that in here. But if not, this works perfectly fine. It's all right. And you already see it's getting nice and thick. In goes my parm. And this is really up to you. You can add as much as you like. But notice one key thing is I turned down my heat. I turned my heat down even more. We're about low. I just wanted to get nice and warm. Because what I don't want, I do not want my cheese to break down in here. I just want it to melt.
What do you mean by break down?
By breakdown, I'm meaning that the fat is starting to separate away from the solid, so you end up with like a oil slick on top.
So how do you know if it breaks?
You'll know that it breaks when you kind of see there's going to be little spots of oil on top, and you don't really want that. That just means your sauce is starting to separate. But there's an easy fix to that if that does happen. If that does happen, what you can do one of two things. You can either add in, if you have some more heavy cream at the house, add in a little bit more heavy cream, stir that together, and it'll come right back together. Or if not, if you have some cold butter, like some nice cold, ice cold butter, like fresh out the fridge butter, that would work out perfectly as well. And you see already as I'm stirring, getting nice and thick in there. I'm gonna use up this whole thing of Parmesan cheese, because I know y'all will at the house too. That's good. That looks good. What do you think, Laura? Looks good?
It smells good. It smells the cheese.
Yeah. Okay. And now this is the part where I definitely want to keep stirring. I don't want that cheese to start to stick down to the bottom. Luckily, this pan doesn't really stick when it comes to cheese. But if you have another pan, it might stick, but it's okay. Just keep on stirring. And you can feel it getting nice and thick in there as well. Look at that. Oh, that's gorgeous.
So how do you know when this is done? When can I add my pasta and all that other stuff?
This is the point you will want to add it in. Once you add your cheese in and just let that cheese start to melt, you can add in your pasta. You can add your cooked proteins. You can add in your tomatoes, your spinach, whatever else you want to.
What if I want my sauce to be thicker than that?
If you want your sauce to be thicker than that, that's perfectly fine. You can let it cook up a little bit more. Or you can do what we said before and use the roux and make a bechamel with your flour, butter, and milk. I personally just don't like it super thick, but if you want to do that, that's perfectly fine. That's good to go. So I'm going to let Laura take one more taste. You might need to add some salt and pepper, but that's perfectly okay.
That's good.
That's good to go. Now, I know me, I personally like to add more pepper. I personally like to add more salt, but that's just me, and I understand that's how I am when it comes to Alfredo sauce. But with that, you guys have any more questions, y'all can go ahead and ask them up real quick. I'm just going to hang out with this Alfredo sauce.
You made oxtail, so you don't have nothing to put in it. You
said what?
So you made oxtail, so I don't have nothing to put in it.
Yeah, I made oxtails earlier today, so that was kind of like, that's what I ate for dinner tonight, so.
What are we going to do with the sauce?
If you're in Birmingham, you want some Alfredo sauce, y'all can come get some. We got plenty here, but we'll probably make some. We got some pasta in the cabinet. We'll make that up a little bit later on. But
you done?
That's it. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know. I could probably do some more of these videos. Somebody mentioned doing a YouTube channel. We'll see how that goes. But let me know if you guys have any food questions. Also, please feel free to hit me up. I love talking about food, and I think that's it. Lori, got anything?